What if the answer to your prayers didn't come as a plan, but as a question from a stranger asking, "Can I buy this?" Today's conversation is about faith born in desperation, healing rooted in nature, and how a kitchen counter remedy became a nationally trusted wellness brand. This is Rosabel Unscripted with Courage Meets Healing. Today, I am sitting with a woman whose story reminds us that purpose often shows up when life feels the heaviest. Jessica Lowry. She is the founder and CEO of the Power of Elderberries, a wellness brand trusted by families and holistic practitioners across the country. She's also a wife, mom of three, and a former public health lecturer who followed a calling that didn't make sense on paper, but made sense in her spirit. Jessica, welcome to Rosabel Unscripted.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Jessica, you have shared many times that your brand was born during a season of deep struggle. Take us back to that moment in your life. What was really happening behind the scenes?
Well, behind the scenes, we were financially strained. My husband was going through some health issues at the time, and I was getting courses dropped in my lecturer position at the university that I was teaching at the time. I can remember just being scared, really living fear lived loud at our table in that time. We had three young kids under the age of 5. We really didn't have answers to my husband's health issues that he was having. And I can remember just dropping to my knees, asking God for a way forward to really help our family financially during that time of struggle. And here we are in cold and flu season. I was thinking as they were talking about the numbers and everyone looking for immune support, I was like, we need elderberry in our home. I had actually had my own experience with using elderberry syrup specifically 5 years earlier before this time, and it helped me feel better very quickly. I was actually pregnant at the time when I discovered it. I was looking for something more natural. And I was thinking to myself, we need elderberry in our home. The problem was is that years earlier when I discovered it, my daughter was 2 at that time, and every brand that I brought home, she disliked the taste of it. So I'd really given up on elderberry, but I knew having 3 kids at that time, now 5 and under, that I really needed to have it back at our home to help keep us healthy. I also knew that it was gonna be up to me to formulate a recipe that I could get all 3 of my kids to take willingly, and that's what took me into my kitchen, making elderberry syrup for my own family, not really having any plans to sell it to anyone at that time, and I had shared my own experience of helping to overcome some cold and flu symptoms years earlier with my friends and letting people know you need to get elderberry in your home. And when I had strangers commenting, "If you have any extra, I would love to buy some from you." I knew right then and there was deeper purpose and a calling that I was being asked to step into, and really an answered prayer to help our family financially during that struggle that we were in. And that's when the business bloomed out of nowhere. No business plan, no business name, if you will, just something that I knew I needed to step into to help support families in need and also my own family in the midst of that season.
Wow, that is amazing. You know what? Those are the best plans, the ones that we just like, you put all your passion, your knowledge, and it was meant to be. Let's put it that way.
It was definitely
And
meant to be.
yes, and for sure an answer to prayer. Now, the other thing I want to mention is you come from public health background and you have
Yeah.
lectured in the Department of Public Health at a Coastal Carolina University. But how did your scientific training and your faith learn to coexist instead of compete?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I didn't have a whole lot of education in terms of research and bringing a product to market that now is a consumable that we're responsible for in terms of the safety. And that really stirred something within me because very early on, I put myself in the shoes of the consumer as a mother myself and someone always wanting to do right and want the best for other people. And immediately I had reached out to places here within our state that offered certification on food safety certifications, learning about pH level and water activity and the safety of our product and all the things that went into it and getting it tested and registering with the FDA and all these steps that I quickly took that really led us to hiring a director of operations that took over my formulation about 6 months into the business. I knew someone with more expertise and research than myself was leading the company as we started to grow. And really, the heart of doing that too was so that I could return back to teaching and continuing to do what I loved because I really didn't know what was going to come of the business. It was just growing so fast and organically. And my husband had already resigned from his job a few months into it to help support me wholeheartedly in this new adventure that we kind of got ourselves into. It wasn't till a couple years later that I actually ended up leaving teaching to support the business full time. But leaning on other people with expertise in that area was something very important to me. And it really stands true to the values that we still have here 8 years later of ensuring that we have quality standards, consumer safety, and those really lead our top priorities as a business.
Are you still teaching?
So I no longer teach, but I did return back to teaching for another 2.5 years after we started the business. So I was really juggling teaching full time, growing business, managing employees, 3 kids. Oh, but I really think back to those early days. And I think as mothers, you just go, go, go. And you're just in the midst of doing all the things that you don't really stop to reflect on what you're doing all the time. But of course, reflecting back now, it's like, oh my gosh, how did we do all that? And I think a very clear answer, it goes back to the having the support of my husband. He has been my rock and my support from the very beginning, realizing that this is a calling and we are being brought into deeper and bigger purpose. And without his support, I probably wouldn't have been able to continue to do all the things. But it definitely helps to have that teammate that is supporting you right alongside all the wins and the setbacks and all the learned lessons along the way.
That is so important, having a supportive partner. But let's talk about elderberries. What I know about berries, I recommend berries in general. Like that's part of what I know to be a neuroprotective diet. That's something that I try my best to do every day. I love berries, not just strawberry, but blueberries and blackberries. Those are incredible that help with memory and things of that nature.
Yeah,
And we know that they're full of flavonoids,
that's right.
antioxidants.
Right.
And so tell me about the elderberries and why elderberries and not lemons. Let's put it that way. So tell me all
Yeah.
about it.
Well, it's a great question because, like I had shared before, I learned of this word. Really, it was just a word, elderberries, curled up in the waiting room of a doctor's office with flu symptoms, wondering what can I do as a remedy to take to help support me right now. And so, what I've learned over the years is elderberries are native to Europe, Africa, parts of Asia. They've been around for many, many years. In fact, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, actually referred to elderberries as his medicine chest because they used to turn to elderberries to help so many different health ailments before pharmaceuticals and all that even became a thing. So when you look in you're asking yourself, what's so special about them? Like, what all do they help with? If that's the case, elderberries, they are one of nature's top antiviral herbs. They're very rich in antioxidants and flavonoids and have been known with what the research supports to help support cold and flu, sinus and allergy. They're great for supporting healthy blood sugar levels. They help support allergies because they're rich in rutin, which is often a supplement that people might turn to help support allergies. The elderberries are rich in that. They also have properties called anthocyanins in them, and they create a protection barrier around our cells. Elderberries are great to help reverse oxidative stress on our body and all the different things that
Yes.
berries can have, but elderberries kind of take it to a whole different level with some properties that they offer that some of the other berries do not. They're also not safe to just eat like you would like strawberries or blackberries. Elderberries need to be cooked and processed in a way to make them safe to consume. So they are different in that regard as well. So those are just some of the things that kinda came to
I
mind.
think they're
And
not
there's
safe if you
certainly
don't cook them.
That's right. They release poison in the leaves and the stems. So it's really important that you don't eat the leaves and stems, but also that you cook the elderberries before eating them. So people, when I talk to people like at farmers markets and different things like that, they might be like, oh, we used to make jam, or I remember having elderberry wine, or my mom used to make elderberry pie. And so people may have even grown up with them. But to my knowledge, they weren't just eating them by the handful off the bush. However, there are many different species and varieties of the elderberry plant. Some species and varieties may be safe to eat. That is something I don't know, but I know the type of elderberries that we use that the research supports to have some medicinal properties within them. They're referred to Sambucus nigra, which is the scientific name of the European black elderberry. So typically, when you buy an elderberry supplement, you will see Sambucus nigra in parentheses following the type of elderberries used if they are using that European black elderberry, which is where they're native to.
Yes, I remember prior to trying your supplements, because I did start trying since last year, I was just doing the gummies, right? Last year, to be honest with you, I got your supplement, loving it. And so here at home, it was me and me giving to the children. I kind of offered to my husband maybe once, and that was it. I guess he was too busy. And last year during cold and flu season, he was the only one who got sick. And also, when people get sick in the house, you're always thinking like, "Oh, I'm gonna be next." Well, I'm still waiting to be next. I was like, "Wow, this is so cool." In a way, that
That's
that
amazing.
actually happened.
And you're
Yeah.
not the only one that has shared that. That's even something more to learn about elderberries is people will ask, well, how do I take it? Is it safe to take it every day? How do I use it? Many people take it as a daily supplement to help support their immune system, to support sinus and allergies,
Exactly.
to support joint health, because our particular supplement doesn't just have the elderberries, but also the ginger root, the cinnamon, the clove, the raw honey, which also makes it a powerful anti inflammatory in addition to the immune support. But the consistency is the key, of course, with keeping your immune system
Yeah.
supported and reaping all the benefits that a supplement has to offer. But that's wonderful to hear that it helped keep you guys from getting.
Yeah, for me, it's important to do it as a preventive. Don't wait until you get sick.
And it's such a great balance. So it does. It
At
has.
the time, you were just launching the little gummies, right? Well, not gummies, but how do you call those? The little bites, right?
We might have just been launching our dog bites. We've had our human bites for about
Okay.
5 years
The human
now.
bites.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So the bites. I'm just been doing the liquid
Yeah, the liquid is
probably,
our best seller. It is refrigerated, and the bites were actually created and they're handcrafted from our liquid formula so that our customers can reap the same benefits, but also
Right.
take the formula on the go without refrigeration. But they're very different in texture compared to gummies because we choose not to add sugar to them. They also don't have fillers, thickeners, dyes, added flavoring, animal gelatin. So it makes the texture very, very unique and different compared to what people are used to taking.
Yeah, and it's so rare in this day and age to find something that don't have sugar and don't have any additives. And to find something said no added sugar and meaning like natural sugars and not have some kind of a artificial sweetener, which that's probably even worse. I'd rather have natural sugar than man-made.
Yes, and you bring up such a great point across just food products in general and supplements, but even food. I think a lot of times consumers see no added sugar and they're thinking, oh, that's the healthier option. I'm going to reach and go for that. But they don't realize that that is really key word for chemicals or sugar, you know, and additives and artificial sweeteners and all the other things that are really
To me,
just.
it's a red flag. When I see no added sugars, I immediately go ding and read the label.
Well, I always tell people look at the ingredient list. If there's one thing that you want to look at when you're looking at labels, skip all the marketing claims and everything else of all the call outs on that label and go straight for the ingredient list because that really tells you more about the product than anything else. And if you can't pronounce it, put it back on the shelf, right? Because That's where a lot of those made up words or greenwash words that are hiding sugar, even the word concentrates, it seems so innocent, but that's also a trigger word where a lot of added sugar is being added into a concentrate that the product is made from. Just some things for consumers to keep in mind.
No, I was just thinking that just today I had someone came to my office and this person brings like 3 bottles of different supplements together with the medication. So what I said is, oh, that's a supplement. I'm taking it because it says that it will do this. I'm like, well, so then they often ask me, what do you think? I'm like, I can tell you. Why are you taking? Oh, because they said it helps with this. Well, gotta do some more research on that. Just because it says that they will do such a thing, you gotta find out.
Right.
Totally.
Absolutely.
The there's a lot. My goodness, I love your product. And there's just so much. And also thinking, doing this, raising children, and while leading a growing company. How do you stay grounded in the wellness space, especially when it gets
Mhm.
loud, trendy,
Sure.
performative, all these supplements out there?
I think what keeps me grounded is my values, always wanting what I want for myself, for other people. I always tell people this is a product that our family takes every single day. It was created out of passion and love for my own family that I will never compromise, knowing that it's something that they take each and every day to support their health. And I think that really is what separates us from the trendy and the always looking for ways to cut corners for added profitability of other supplement companies on the market is because the true passion lives within the creator that's also taking it for her family every single day, cost to increase profitability. And there's been a lot of opportunity along the way of ways to save money. And of course, they've been hard nosed if it ever comes to the quality of the product, because I always tell people what I want for my own family is also what I'm honored to share with yours. So I think that definitely keeps me grounded because it is something that our family takes every single day. So it's very sacred to us to keep it the way that it's always been. And also my faith is what keeps me grounded. So I think between my values and my faith, it allows me to keep moving forward in the right direction and knowing that, God has a plan and purpose for the business. And if I'm just staying true to following his lead, I know that I'm moving in the right direction.
That is beautifully. It sounds a lot like when I think about my values and what I do, the fact that you're not cutting corners, but thinking, oh, in my case, for example, I always say I like to lead by example. I don't want to tell or either my patients or anyone to do something that I already do myself. Feel like a hypocrite. If I tell someone don't smoke, I feel good to know that I don't smoke, for example.
Sure.
Or if I
Yeah.
say, hey, you should be exercising, well, guess what? I do. I go for walks too. And if there
Hmm.
is something that I don't do that I know it's good for it, let's try it. Let's do it together. But yeah, it is beautiful. And thank you for sharing in the faith. That is very important. Now, I want you to tell us what would you say to a woman, let's put a woman who's listening, who feels called to do something bigger, but is kind of waiting for permission. What would you say that to her?
Well, I think the first thing I would say to her is, do you have the support of your partner or your spouse or someone that cares deeply about you? Because I think that going back to what I shared earlier, having that support is very helpful, especially with starting new things. But also, I know that fear can get in the way of a lot of things in terms of us wanting to jump or try something new. And I think what I've learned over the years when fear creeps up is I remind myself of the acronym FACE everything and rise. There's something about fear that pushes us outside our comfort zone to get on the other side. And once you're on the other side, you're able to see the bigger purpose in what is stirring within you. I think that oftentimes on the other side of it is when we can really see the bigger picture and understand the reason why that showed up in our life. So I think that I would just be encouraging to step into it because it's a lot better to step into something than have regrets of never trying, right? And
Absolutely.
and I think that's what kind of kept me going, even though there were so many setbacks and things that I didn't know, and so many questions that I had, and people that I had to call to figure it out. But leaning on other people and knowing that you don't have to go through it all on your own. The support is out there, willing to help you learn, to help guide you towards whatever that next step is. And I think that, if those steps are in alignment and everything kind of seems easy, and although there's struggles and barriers, you're working through figuring them out and everything's just kind of moving along as it should. That's what it felt like for us in that first year. Everything just started kind of falling into place as if there was so much bigger purpose and guidance that it felt right. It felt like we were moving in the right direction, right? And I think that that's what
Yes.
people will know. If it's a hard no, the doors will close and you will know.
Yes, it has happened to me that life is, ups and downs. And we probably all have been in times where we're like having the doubt and maybe, I don't know, is this going to work? You get someone to tell you how much, let's say, your product has helped you. It's like, oh, this is a sign that we're going in the right direction. There have been days where I want to kind of, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then right there, I get a message. I get this amazing person that just comes and tell me how much I've made a difference in their life or they learned something from me. And it's just like, okay, it's like God talking to you, right? To your
Yes.
soul.
Yes. I call those God winks when those things are
Yes.
happening, and they happen a lot. And yes, there have absolutely been times where you have your head down, you're wondering, what am I even doing? Am I even supposed to be doing this? This is too much. This is too hard. Just wanting to throw in the towel. Really? I mean, we've all come across opportunities and times throughout the struggles, throughout the setbacks, throughout the hardships where sometimes it just feels easier of giving up. It just feels easier of throwing in the towel. And then you have those moments that pick you right back up, right?
Right.
And it has happened more times than I can tell you of that day, a customer calling or emailing us or walking into our store, just sharing what a difference the product has made in their life. This has saved my life, or it's had such an impact on their health that they never imagined possible, or when they had lost hope for their health or had no answers, it helped restore their body in a way to support it that they didn't know was possible.
A lot of times we get such busy, busy lives that we take for granted the small things. And some people wouldn't even think, okay, well, it's a supplement, but it makes a difference because less time you're spending sick. I mean, it also affects your emotional state, a few decades ago when I was constantly getting sick, you don't feel well. It makes you depressed. It affects your everything.
I remember the very beginning, my whole motto was to keep more parents at work and children in school. That was because if you think about it, when parents aren't at work, they're missing income opportunity for their family, or they're taking care of sick children and still have to call out work. Then they have to make up the schoolwork, and the emotions start rising because everyone's kind of shifted in their routine. And then the compounding effect of more people in the family getting sick and then it lingering for weeks rather than just a couple days. All of that emotional ties really does play a role on how we feel and then our behaviors and our actions and how we communicate with others. And I can remember at the very beginning from my own experience as well, I knew elderberry was all about immune support. So that was like the big thing. But then once I started getting to the farmers markets and customers were returning to me every week and sharing what a difference the product had made on their allergies and their joint health and their inflammation and a lot of different things, their blood sugar, things that I had never even considered or thought about the product helping with. And this web kind of opening up to the ways that it was supporting people's health outside of just immune support. So when you kind of go back to thinking about those moments, those are also some things that have kind of come to my mind of lifting me up and knowing what a difference it's making for people. The season that people are looking for immune support because it's also helping with different things with their health as well.
Yeah, I love the fact that again, it's something you can take daily, make it part of your routine, your diet. I haven't been sick. I mean, it's been great. We've got to be even more thankful, even my children. It's such a blessing. And sometimes we get so busy and we don't think about it. But again, if you're taking a great supplement, so thankful for it and thankful for what you do as well, Jessica. Is there anything I have not asked you that you want to talk about, whether it's about your product, your story?
Any specific questions that I have?
I
I'm
know you have mentioned in the past about the third party lab testing or something like
Mhm.
that. You have
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah. So I think going back to what we had talked about previously of all the different things that I really had to learn that I did not have the wherewithal or education about going into a supplement industry business, it has been very eye opening to me, to say the least, to learn all the things that I have over the last 8 years. And one of the things that I have come to realize and find out is that not all supplement companies are third party lab testing their products. Although we had been third party lab testing with our particular business from the very beginning, because it's the right thing to do, going back to consumer safety and quality control, putting myself in consumer shoes. That's what I want for my own family, not someone making something out of their kitchen that I don't really know if it's safe to consume. So that is one thing that we take very seriously and that we're really proud to share, that we do third party lab test our products for consumer safety, quality control, water activity, pH balance. All those things really make a difference. And we also choose not to add preservatives to our liquid formula, which is why it's kept refrigerated and also shipped cold. Because we choose to use local raw honey, honey cannot get above around 100 degrees or it starts degrading and losing the properties within the raw honey that help support our health. So naturally, because honey and raw honey, especially that we use, is so expensive, we want to make sure that our consumers are reaping all those benefits. But if we thermally heat processed our product and bottle filled at extremely high temperatures, which is going to be your big supplement companies that are shipping their products off to sit in a warehouse for a couple years, they're all thermally heat processing the product because it extends the shelf life to 2 years in most cases. And then it becomes refrigerate after opening. We don't choose to do that, even though it would save labor costs and it would extend the shelf life, all these different areas. It's a step that we take very seriously that we choose not to do that really helps separate ourselves apart from other elderberry supplement companies on the market. So that's just kind of an example to do with our processing and making the product, but also testing it for consumer safety as well. So those are just a few of the things that we do.
That is awesome. That was going to be another question. You just answer it. What's the difference between your product and so that's great to me about your story is not just the entrepreneurship, but it's also the obedience, the purpose. To know that that purpose doesn't always arrive. It shows up in exhaustion, uncertainty. You have prayers whisper and that kitchen floor that I can only imagine you were. I remember one time you mentioned to me that you were up to 2, 3 in the morning
Yeah.
labels and those things,
Mhm.
and having that kind of the leadership, the calling at the same time and to trust because sometimes trust is just that to trust when we cannot see clear what's coming, right?
Absolutely.
So
Hardest things to do. And I can't say that I had always had the trust in the way in which it started strong and then it kind of faded away. And then setbacks and barriers came along that we ultimately were able to get through. But I think really surrendering and just knowing that there's purpose in everything, but yet there's only so much control over things that we can do, and surrendering that control that really ultimately leads you to lean into wholeheartedly trust. So it all
Yes.
kind of comes full circle when it comes to business entrepreneurship. And I just continue to trust that this is where God wants us to be and this is our calling. And those little God winks, I was giving samples of our product to a local elementary school, and more than one teacher took a dose of it. And they would say things like, I feel like I'm at church right now. I feel like I'm taking communion. And it just like, those are like little God winks to me of just a reminder that he's like right there with me.
In the process, totally right there with you, with us. I just want to say to everybody out there listening that if Jessica's story resonated with you, I want you to connect with her, explore her work. I think it's the power of elderberries.com. And I believe they can also find you on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube under the power of elderberries. If you're navigating your own healing, whether it's leadership, whether it's trying to be an entrepreneur, how to start a business, or just want to know more about healing, for sure, subscribe to the channel and join this growing community. We're growing here too. And I really wish you the best. I want your business to continue to grow because as you grow, you continue to help others. Thank you so much, Jessica. Tell me, do you still have that discount code for
Yeah.
the podcast?
Yes, they can enter a podcast 15 at checkout to get 15% off their first purchase. They can learn more about it on our website as you directed them to thepowerofelderberries.com. And we would love to connect on social media as well to learn more along the way.
Beautiful. I'll put the links down below.
Oh,
Thank
I
you,
would.
Jessica. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank you for
everything.
being support and thank you for having me as a guest today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.